Hi there, this is Sarah. Today we will see how the Production Day software suite helps us to calculate product costing for the product. The multi-level bill of material. Bill of material plays a very integral part in the calculation of the product in the costing for the product. Now, if you see over here, we have multi-level bill of materials. Level 1, which is the finished good. Level 2, which is the semi-finished good and the raw material used to make the finished good. So we have the components of finished good as the semi-finished good and the raw material. In the next level, which is the level 3, we have the components that are being used to make the semi-finished product. So first we need to make the semi-finished products, which is the component 1, component 2, component 3, and then uh, those components are being used to make this finished products. We will consider an example over here. So if you see here, we are considering the finished product as ball pen, and then we have the semi-finished product as ring hourglass black, and the raw material, which is the component of the level 1, which is the finished product. And in the next level, we have ABS natural, carbon black, and polybag, which are 3 raw materials, which are the components of the ring hourglass black. The next slide depicts bill of material in business pointers. So this is an overview of how a bill of material master would look like. So if you see over here, we have the product code as ball pen, which is our finished product, and then we have the semi-finished product, which is ring hourglass, and then the raw material, which is used with this semi-finished product to produce the ball pen. Now next we have ring hourglass, the components of ring hourglass, which are ABS natural, carbon black, and polybag, which are 3 raw materials. So if you see over here, the quantities being noted for like how much material or how much semi-finished product, what pieces are being used to make the 1,000 quantity of ball pen, plus what is the price, the unit price of each of those raw material, and what will be the total price required. So it's all being calculated in the bill of materials in business pointers. So this is a depiction of a multi-level bill of material. Next, we have created a production order over here. So if you see here, we have created a production order of that semi-finished product for 10,20,000 quantity. So this is our production quantity. So if you see over here, we have a sequence of process. So if you see here, we have an ABS white, which is the component 1, component 2 carbon black, component 3 of the semi-finished product, and then the raw material to make the finished product. So first item receipt will be done into the system. So this is actually a process, how it actually works in the system. So if you see here, we are doing an item receipt for the component 1, an item receipt for the component 2, an item receipt for the component 3 into the system. Once we have the raw material required to make that ring hourglass, then we will do an item issue for the production of the semi-finished good first. Once the item issue is done for the semi-finished product, we will do an item receipt of the ring hourglass, which was our semi-finished good, into the system. And then we have also done an item receipt of carton, which was the raw material used with the semi-finished product to make the finished product. So we are also doing an item receipt of the other raw material and the item receipt of ring hourglass, and then they are issued for assembling or subcontracting to a different vendor. So once it's being issued for subcontracting, the next is we will be receiving finished good, which is the ball pen, into the system. The next slide depicts the landed cost calculations from level 3 to level 1. So the system automatically calculates as it's artificial intelligence based. So if you see over here, we have the total material cost, the total processing cost, and the total landed cost being calculated. So if you see over here, we have the total material cost that's being calculated from the bill of material. We have the total processing cost that's being calculated from the routing master, and then we have the total landed cost, which is the total material cost plus the total processing cost. Next is level 2. So while doing an item issue for the ring hourglass, how the landed cost is being calculated. So if you see over here, for the ABS natural, the total quantity that's required is 561 quantity. Now we are receiving 550 quantity at 120 per unit, so landed cost at 120 per unit plus 20 quantity for 125. So the price is different. There is a price difference between the 550 quantity and the 20 quantity over here. So we are calculating an average. The system calculates an average and will gives us 500 for 561 quantity, which is the actual quantity required for the ring hourglass. It's giving us an estimate of 120.58 price. Same with the carbon black and the poly bag. Uh, for making this ring hourglass bag semi-finished product, we need 10.2 quantity, but we are doing an item receipt of 20 quantity at two different prices. So system automatically calculates and gives us the landed cost required that we are paying for the carbon black. So an average of 10.2, it's 255.098. Same with the poly bag, we are receiving about 210 quantity into the system at two different prices, but the poly bag, if you see here, it's we require is only 204 quantity. Now again the system is calculating an average and giving us an exact of 28.52. That's the costing for the poly bag for 204 quantity. Next, we are receiving carton into the system. So item issuing of carton 2000 quantity at 2, so landed cost at 2.25. This is how a depiction of routing in business pointer. So this is our routing master, which will let us know what is the process cost for making this 1000 quantity of the product ring hourglass, the semi-finished product. So if you see over here, we have define two processes on two machines, and the process cost that's required is 25,000 into 5,000 plus 5,000 into 6,000. So we are multiplying the process cost with time and we are adding that to calculate the processing cost. Now if you see over here, we have ABS natural, which are four raw materials. So again, we will see over here an item receipt of 550 quantity at 120, landed cost at 120 per unit. An item receipt of 20 quantity at 125, landed cost at 150 per unit. Again, we have the carbon black item receipt of 10 quantity at 205, landed cost at 255 per unit, and item receipt of 10 quantity at 210, landed cost at 260 per unit. Same way with we are doing an item receipt of 200 quantity at 25, landed cost at 27.5 per unit, and item receipt of 10 quantity at 30, landed cost at 80 per unit. Again, we're doing for carton, the other raw material with the semi-finished good, item receipt of 2000 quantity at 2, landed cost at 2.25 per unit. This is automatically being calculated by the system. Depiction of item receipt in business pointers. If you see over here, we have a list view of how the item receipt would look like. So we are doing an item receipt against the purchase order that's being created for the raw materials. So if you see here, we are receiving an item receipt of ABS natural quantity 550 at 120 per unit. Next, we have the item issue and the item receipt. level 2. So we are doing an item issue against the production order over here. So if you see here, we are issuing 561 quantity, 10.2 quantity, and 204 quantity that's being required for the production of the semi-finished product. Next, we are also receiving the item against the production order. So we have to make over here the semi-finished product, which is our ring hourglass. So here we are calculating the total material cost per unit. Now, what is the total material cost? It's material cost per unit into production quantity. So that's being calculated, and as it's this number 4123000000. Next, we have total processing cost, which is the processing cost per unit into production quantity. Now, here we need to calculate the total processing cost, but for that we need to calculate the processing cost per unit first. So if you see here, we are calculating the processing cost per unit, which is calculated from routing. So here, as I informed, process cost 1 into process time 1 plus process cost 2 into process time 2 divided by the routing quantity, which gives us a number of 155,000. Now, if you see here, we have the total processing cost, which is this number 155,000 into 10,20,000 quantity. So that gives the total processing cost over here. Now, the landed cost of the finished product is landed cost per unit, total processing cost plus total material cost, which comes up to this, and landed cost per unit, which comes up to this, which is 1,55,404, which is the landed cost per unit of the item. Artificial intelligence based MRP data generation and artificial intelligence learning. So if you see over here, we have the finished goods sales order and production and procurement planning. That would include the sales order, artificial intelligence based material requirement planning, created production orders, subcontracting planned orders. Then we have the semi-finished production planned or subcontracting orders, which is also an artificial intelligence based material requirement planning, semi-finished goods planned production orders and subcontracting orders, raw material purchase requisitions and subsequent purchase orders, which is also an AI MRP generated purchase requisitions. So with the help of material requirement planning, we can these are the documents that comes into picture, which is the sales order, automatic creation of production and planned subcontracting orders for the production order. And then we have the planned production orders for the semi-finished good with the subcontracting orders, and automatically creation of purchase requisitions for raw materials. So when an MRP is executed or a material requirement planning is being executed, these are the orders which gets calculated. This is how an artificial intelligence based MRP workflow would look like. So we have the MRP. The next is the purchase requisition for the purchase requisition for the finished good raw material that's being created, component raw material purchase requisition being created, semi-finished good production order is being created, and subcontracting orders are being created. The next is item receipt for the raw materials for the finished good, an item received for the components of the semi-finished good into the system. So when the purchase requisitions are created, so for example, whenever a sales order is being created for a certain quantity and we do not have enough inventory in the system, we will do an material requirement planning. Once the material requirement planning is being executed, it will evaluate the inventory into the system, and it will check the bill of material, that like what are the components required and are required in what quantities, and accordingly it will create purchase requisitions, and it will plan the production orders automatically and also create the subcontracting orders. Now, once the purchase requisitions are being created, it will be created for the raw material which are required to make the finished product, the raw material which are required to make the semi-finished product. It will create the semi-finished good production order and the finished good subcontracting order after the production is being done for the final assembling. Now, after the requisitions and the orders are being created, we will do an item receipt for raw materials for the finished product, plus the item receipt for the components of the semi-finished product. Once the raw materials is received into the system, the item is then issued for the production of the semi-finished product. Again, the item is again issued for the subcontracting for the finished product. So once you have done an item issue for the production, once the production is done, you will be sending that item for assembling or for subcontracting of the finished product with the raw material that's required for the finished product, and that's how you will get the finalized finished product into the system. So this is how you can see the finished good planning, the semi-finished good planning, and the raw material planning. So in the finished good planning, we have sales demand, planned production orders, or subcontracting orders. So we have sales order, artificial intelligence based MRP created production planned orders, AI MRP created subcontracting orders, finished good production orders from above to AI MRP planned production orders. For an SFG or a semi-finished good planning, we have semi-finished good planned production orders, semi-finished good planner subcontracting orders, converted semi-finished good production orders from above to planned orders. Next is raw material planning. So we have purchase requisitions and subsequent purchase orders being created. Artificial intelligence based MRP generated purchase requisitions for finished good raw material. Generated components raw material for purchase requisitions for the semi-finished products, and converted purchase orders from above to purchase requisitions. Thank you. For more information, you can visit our website www.businesspointers.com, or you can email us at demo@businesspointers.com. Thank you.